can't talk about youth and mental well-being without actually talking to young people. Let me introduce you to our CitiesRise youth panel. David Odhiambo, co-founder of Rai Cultural Health and Social Innovation in Nairobi. Social worker Monisha Balamurgan, founder of Nam Vidakalam, and Seika Brown, researcher and author advocating for mental health. She's the CEO of the YLG Research and Gates Foundation honoree, and Sarah Faraj, a youth mental health advocate. Please welcome our panel.
Monisha, I would love to hear your story.
Yeah, I'm 21 years old and I'm a social worker come psychologist. I'm a mental health advocate and I'm running my own NGO called Naam Videkalam. It's a community-based organization. We're working towards child development and youth empowerment. As of now, we have covered 38 government schools, underprivileged schools around Chennai, and we have adopted two underprivileged communities, and we're working towards mental health and child development. And also we're providing psychosocial care, and also during this COVID-19 we're providing You're Not Alone campaign, which all about a suicide prevention and also to ensure like nobody is alone in this world. So these are the work that I have been doing, that I have inspired at the age of 18 during my college days, and still it's continuously doing with the help of 200 plus volunteers. And it's not like volunteers, it's kind of friends come volunteers. We all together be working in a community for youth health.
Wow, thank you. That's very,
Yes.
that's really inspiring. Thank you so much, Monisha. I would love to hear Seika now, please.
Hi, yes, I am a 19-year-old CEO and founder of an organization that really just aims to find what the mental health definition is across the world. I'm coming from a mixed culture household. I'm half Japanese and I'm half English, so I know that everyone experiences it differently. And my brother, I just lead a global youth initiative, just exploring what mental health looks like across the world.
Wow, and you started that at what age?
I was 15 when I first started my work, and I've been doing it ever since.
Wow, what an inspiration. Thank you so much. Now we're going to speak to David. David, what's your story?
Thank you. I work with Agriculture, Health and Social Innovation, a social enterprise that I founded in 2017. That was during my third year of education at the university. Personally, I'm a mental health advocate, a pharmacist by profession, and a regulatory affairs specialist in terms of my good line of work. In terms of agriculture as an organization, our work has been around improving access to healthcare services and promoting human capital. In the mental health care space, our focus has been working with young people, and this started during the campus years when we had cases of colleagues and students within the university suffering from mental health challenges, but there was never a let out and a venue where they could discuss the challenges they were experiencing. And personally, I'm an individual with lived experience with mental health. So at that particular moment, then I realized I could create a platform where we could engage with young people, address issues that are affecting us at a personal level. And that led to the establishment of the Agriculture Bonfire Chats. These were monthly discussion forums. We had engagement with young people generally. Some of them graduate, some are still students up to now. And these have been ongoing, and that has been the core of my work. Then later on, through the work that he did, I got to know about CitiesRise as an organization that was working to engage young people working in the mental health space in Nairobi. And I became part of the network that has enabled me to continue the work that I do. So that is a background of what I do and how I'm moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. So inspiring. And to finish our little quota, Sarah, I would love to hear your story.
Hi, so my name is Sarah. I'm an 18-year-old youth mental health advocate and an activist within my own city of Sacramento, and hopefully within the nation and the world someday. I come from a Middle Eastern American background, so I've personally experienced the stigma regarding mental health, and I've also seen it within my own community in regards to students and young adults not feeling like they can talk to their parents or talk to their families. The first way that I got involved with mental health is in a smaller campaign within my own neighborhood, where we just kind of talked about mental health and making sure people aren't feeling alone. And then we did a signage campaign around the community where people could find resources and ways that they could address their own mental health while quarantining. And then over the past year and a half, I've engaged with CitiesRise Sacramento through their youth network. And we've been able to pilot some amazing programs where we've educated youth in the community about their own mental health and about the science regarding mental health and some ways that they can cope with that. So this is something I definitely want to continue into the future.
Thank you so much. It's fascinating to just hear so much movement. I feel that there's a lot of dynamic coming from hearing all of your presentations. You know, I started mental health much later on. You know, I'm 38. I only happened 3 years ago through the loss of my little sister, and so when I hear you, I so wish that I was able to, or my sister were able to have the tools that you're creating, because I feel that you are creating the tools for your leadership in your community, and it's incredible. So I have a very bold question here. How do we speak about, how do we speak about mental health? You know, for example, like to an adult in your area where you're at. What is the best way for, I'm a young, well, I'm not a young adult, but I like to perceive that I am. but how would you like me to hear you speak about mental health? Because there's a lot of unknowns here, and we're all trying to figure out this summit is what this is about. So Sarah, I see your face. You're nodding you're nodding your head. Please go ahead, start.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the biggest thing for me within my own community, I live in a city that's not as highly stigmatized in terms of mental health. So there is some discourse regarding mental health, but I do think that on a more personal level between people and their own families, that's where we kind of have that issue of stigma and people not being able to talk to other adults. And I'd say just at the very basic level, the easiest way to talk about mental health is just to go into it with an open mind and also using the correct body language and tone. I think that when adults kind of come into the situation either looking or appearing nervous or having a tone that they sound scared if they're concerned about a child or, you know, another peer of theirs, it makes it so difficult to talk about mental health because people don't want to scare their friends and their families. So I think making it as with as little intimidation as possible and allowing people to feel like they can openly talk about something without scaring another person and without making somebody extremely worried. So kind of that way they can get the resources to the person who needs it without that person feeling like they're a burden or feeling like they're causing a bigger issue.
So it's basically the art of listening. There's a
Yes,
way
absolutely.
to listen. There's a way to cradle the listening.
Yes, making it so it's an enjoyable experience to talk about.
It's interesting. Seika, I would love to hear your point of view because this is so fascinating. This is cross-cultural because there's the art of listening is so different in Japanese culture and Middle Eastern culture.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're 100% correct. It's all about listening. I think way too many times adults or kids walk into the conversation just trying to help each other, which is wonderful. But I think there's so many people in this world that want to help each other and just not enough people that want to listen. And that's just the root of it all. It's just listening. To understand my own mental health or my brother's or my mom's especially, I had to listen to her and listen to how she experiences mental health in her culture and then how I experience it as her child. As a child. And so it's just like, I think it does come down to listening and making sure that we're not going to this conversation trying to help each other, but to understand each other, to be friends with each other, to develop our relationship with each other, because that's the root of what mental health is. It's about relationships. It's about your relationship with yourself and your relationship with what you believe and what your culture is like. So coming into it not to help, but to listen is the root of it all.
Thank you. That's fascinating. I've been starting to use the term mental hygiene. You know, just having that awareness of what is in this mental hygiene toolbox, right? And deep listening is part of it. But you know, something so simple, we don't know how to do it. You know, and it takes a lot of time to understand that. David, I would love to hear what that means to you. How how can adults in where you're at listen more deeply to the cry of mental well-being?
I really concur with the contributions of Sarah and Seka in terms of the listening bit of it. And then additionally, there's something that becomes a challenge. In Kenya, where I come from, where we operate, there's stigma around mental health. And whenever you bring the subject on mental health, everybody has a negative connotation, negative perspective around it. So that already makes it not easy to have such a conversation. But then from our environment, how we look at it is, mental health is a continuum from mental wellness to mental ill health. So can we look at it from a normal state of the human being? Every day, like for example, when we started this conversation, we started by how are you doing? I'm already inquiring to know how you are feeling, how you are at a personal level. If you get to talk to me and tell me how you feel, and I really, really sincerely wanted to know how you are, then you tell me if you're not feeling well, probably you are still sleepy, you're just waking up in the morning. That makes it easier for us to have a conversation from a point of seeking to know, seeking to learn. And then from that seeking to learn, we get to share as much knowledge, as much information as we can to enable the other person get to a point of common understanding. Because unless we have a common understanding about what we're talking about, it's not easy to get to the point of helping as we're looking at it around conversations with people. And that is the same thing. Like, for example, personally, when I mentioned an aspect of having a challenge, I had a mental health condition. I was suffering from depression at a particular point in my life. But I couldn't get to the point of talking about it to my parents and my family because for them, it wouldn't be that easy. But I had a friend who could understand, a friend we could share with. And it comes from a point of you're facing different challenges in your life, and you get to share with somebody who relates, empathy. And when they relate with your circumstances, they give you a platform from a point of common understanding, then you walk the journey, and that makes it easier. So it's a point of share the information you have, wanting to know, and then we form a common basis, and we move from there knowing that we are going to help if there's that need for help, but rather than just helping, even by listening and learning to know how this person is coping with the situation, it makes it easier to support them. And those are some of the things that I feel. Even engaging with elderly people, if we can adopt such kind of perspectives and approaches, we are going to help ensure that we address mental health from a point of making a positive change rather than frowning upon the term mental health and anything to do with mental health. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, David. And Monisha, you live in, you're in Chennai, right?
Yeah.
And South India. So India is a very complex place because it's full of already diversity, different dialects, different places. So from where you're at, how is it to speak about mental health? How would an adult relate to what you're asking?
In our country, the infrastructure of physical health is completely good. But if it's compared to mental health, it's really a huge challenge because we have n number of primary health centers in each area in every locality. But we have only handful of counseling centers and only few psychologists, professionals, mental health professionals are available. So when we talk about the help seeking and peer support, yeah, as a child, as an adult, we all expect some kind of emotional support by ensuring how was a day and how are you really and are you okay. Those simple words really convey the care, affection, love towards a friend or else a family member. We don't want to expect an answer from them. Before that, we can just ensure whether they need some support or not. That makes them to think whether we have some person to support us, some person to listen to us. And very important, if we identify a person facing some kind of mental health issues or some kind of challenges in their life, we can talk to professional. But in our surrounding, it's very taboo when we talk about mental health. And also if we talk about going to psychologist or psychiatrist, there's a lot of stigma and stereotype. Only a mentally ill people can go to a psychologist or psychiatrist is a common taboo which was happening around us, so that many people are hesitating to go and seek for mental health help. And also it's very important for us to give support to our circle. Like, it does not matter, like they should initially go to a professional and talk. At first stage, we have to create a comfort zone, a positive environment around us to help the person to come out of their challenges and the emotion that they are going through is seriously high because the COVID rate was extremely high in our country. So the people, how they're struggling from physical health is equally struggling from mental health. And many people have committing suicide because of panic attacks. So it's very important to talk about mental health, not only talking about mental health. A serious issue is only one set of people are accessible to mental health. Only one class of people can talk about mental health. The underprivileged and the people below the line are not able to talk about mental health because their primary need itself is not satisfied. So that's the major challenges that we are facing in mental health issues.
Wow, thank you so much, Manisha. I would like to dive deeper into this conversation, but I think what we got here, the essence of this was that there's a need for deeper listening, and that deeper listening is actually universal, which is one good thing here, because in every culture we're able to tap into a deeper listening of ourselves to be a canvas for who we're speaking to. And I think that's a lovely way to sum up your beautiful voices.